I think the question is whether or not, going back to my friend's text and perhaps some emails you've been getting, whether or not this is the bottom, right, a market bottom, or this is the beginning of a larger bear correction here.
In today's breakdown, David Lin sits down with Chris Vermeulen, chief market strategist at the Technical Traders, to discuss a critical shift in the financial markets. Chris shares his expert insights on why a major market reset isn't just inevitable. It could actually be a huge opportunity for investors. From historical patterns to key technical signals, we're diving into what this reset means, how to navigate it, and why smart money is already preparing for it. If you're serious about staying ahead of the curve, you won't want to miss this. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. And if you find value in this, tap that like button. It helps more people get this crucial info. Now, let's get into it.
Trump says a transition period for the economy is likely per headlines. You can't really watch the stock market, he said. I think this comment shook markets even more because that's basically him admitting that there's going to be more volatility, but just ignore it for now. He said there was a grander scheme of the American economy. He said this in a speech a couple of days ago. I think he said, look, the Chinese are thinking about 100-year cycles. We can't be concerned about just quarterly cycles. We have to look also 100 years ahead. So what the pain that the economy and the markets are suffering now is for the greater good, is for the betterment of the economy longer term. So that's what he said. I don't know if you have any reaction to that before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we need a great big correction in the market. I think things are frothy. You don't really want the markets to go straight up. I mean, when we look at the weekly chart of the SP 500, this goes back to 2007 market top. We had obviously a big 50+% sell off. I think we're primed and ready for another 50+% sell off, breaking the 2022 lows on the SP 500. These are actually very good things. These reset the market, they cleanse it, and they allow longer term cycles to stay in play. If we don't have these, we tend to see the market, eventually it could get even uglier. I mean, the markets have had a very big move to the upside. I do believe we need a big reset to reset all kinds of assets and really expectations and pricing on all kinds of stuff.
And I think the question is whether or not, going back to my friend's text and perhaps some emails you've been getting, whether or not this is the bottom, right, a market bottom, or this is the beginning of a larger bear correction here.
Yeah, so I think the way to look at this, like you and I always talk about multiple different angles. So I think from a short-term trader standpoint, looking at the daily chart, I believe we might see a bit more selling over a session or two, but I believe overall, most of the downside here is done. We have capitulation selling, a big volume spike. Typically, when we see big volume spikes and fear, the market puts in this significant low. I mean, a good way to look at this also is if we look at just some basic, some cycle analysis. We've got, this is a tool that I use whenever we have multiple cycles, which you can see the series of cycles out at the bottom of the chart. When we have multiple cycles putting in a bottom and they come into favor, it generates these significant lows on the stock market. And we're at one right now. And it is pointing to, based on multiple different time cycles, we should have some type of bounce up into like March 24th, March 25th area. So, just based on sentiment alone, it's telling us it's primed and ready for an oversold bounce. Cycles are telling us we're ready for a bounce. And really, we have to wait for the market to try and put in a bottom. The Magnificent Seven are kind of the biggest thing to, I think, be aware of. Like if we look at the Magnificent Seven, we pull up this the ETF that kind of groups them all together. And let's just go look at the monthly chart of this. Now, whatever these 7 stocks do is going to very much so dictate what happens with the rest of the market. Now, this ETF doesn't go back very far, but what I want to show here is simply when something rockets higher and then has a huge sharp correction, it's usually going to have some type of pause and bounce. And then eventually it'll roll over and go into a bear market type of move. And as you and I have talked about this, David, you're pretty familiar with this 4 stages that I always talk about, which, usually we have this blow off phase in something that drives the markets higher. And then eventually they break down. I believe the Magnificent Seven are finally having that blow off capitulation move. And then they're going to have a bit of a pause. and then they're going to go into a big stage 4 decline and reset the entire market. And another, good bellwether is Nvidia. Look at the monthly chart of Nvidia. It is a ugly looking chart in terms of it has a shoulder, a head. It's sold down to this level here. I believe it could bounce or pause for maybe a month or so, but overall, it is pointing to a dramatic pullback and sell-off that a lot of people aren't anticipating. So, this is when you look at Nvidia, it's kind of flatlining, and then suddenly it goes explosive. Something this big really controls a lot of the market. So I think a lot of the focus needs to be on what are the Magnificent Seven doing as a whole, and what are some of the big leaders like this. They're not looking good. Tesla just put in a massive, massive double top, down 15% today. The tide is changing from a bull market to a bear market. It's not going to happen right overnight this week, but over the next month or three, this sideways and selling price action is going to become normal. And then it's a matter of just when is that next leg to the downside for the overall markets.
And that wraps up today's breakdown with Chris Vermeulen. His insights into the market reset shed light on why it's not just a challenge, but a potential opportunity for those who are prepared. As the financial landscape continues to evolve, understanding these cycles and positioning yourself strategically is more important than ever. Stay informed, stay ahead, and as always, we'll be here to bring you the key insights that matter most. Thanks for watching our latest market update. We truly appreciate your time and support. If you got value from this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps the page grow. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions. And if you haven't yet, hit the like button and turn on notifications so you never miss a crucial update. Big things are coming, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.